Hey everyone, welcome to the Council Report, your spot for weekly debriefs on this week's City Council agenda. I'm Jake Tonkel, a candidate for District 6 here in the city of San Jose, and we're going to cover the most interesting and important topic of today's meeting, closing the digital divide in San Jose. We're going to go through what the digital divide is, how it's affecting residents in our city in District 6, how residents can get assistance that's currently in place, what are some of the solutions that are going to be talked about today in order to make it even more accessible for our families, and then what are some additional solutions I think we should look for in the coming future here. So before we start, happy Cinco de Mayo. This is also the National Day of Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples, so please pay your respects in both cases. Jumping into the digital divide, what it is, it's a gap of underprivileged members in our community that do not have access to the internet, generally compared to those that are more wealthy, more middle class. High-speed internet is no longer a luxury in daily life, especially under COVID-19. People are finding ways to work from home. Their students need to make sure that they can access classes online. And this has been the case before COVID-19 as well. So much of a student's work, whether it was research, homework, etc., needed to be taken place by going through the internet and finding smart resources, credible resources in order to get your work done. In San Jose specifically, there are thousands of residents without internet access. When San Jose launched its program to reduce the digital divide, we had almost 100,000 people in the city of San Jose without access to internet. So this smart city vision in 2016 set some goals so that we would get 50,000 of those folks internet access over the next 10 years. The challenge is, how do we make that faster? Because every day, every month, every year that we go along, access to internet has more and more impact on your daily life, and we don't want to be leaving families behind. We need to make sure that we're embracing all the different solutions that come, because some are going to be long-term about infrastructure, and some are going to be short-term. How do we get people resources today so that students can do their homework, so that those of us that are unfortunate and end up in a position where you need to go find a new employer can use the internet for that resource. 30% of our city doesn't even have broadband at home. A lot of people, about 15%, rely on mobile phones. 9% of folks rely on free Wi-Fi somewhere else, cafe, library, school. And the challenge is this is also directly correlated to our communities of color and our lower income communities. And that's really where that digital divide has lots of focus, making sure that it's not hurting the families that need the access the most right now so that we can have an equitable and healthy city. For students alone in the city of San Jose, according to the meeting that is happening actually right now, where housing and city staff are going over what students need, there's about 8,500 students that still don't have internet connectivity. There's another 11,600 students that don't have devices that are suitable for online school. And as we may be facing another year of social distancing, of challenges of getting back to the classroom, making sure students have access to both of these resources, internet and technology, is going to be really important. District 6 is no different. It's a district I'm running to represent at City Council. And it's generally thought of as a more upper and middle class district. But our public schools give you a very different picture. We have, just looking at the 3 high schools in District 6, Willow Glen High School, there are 36.9% of students that qualify for free or reduced lunches. Why is that important? Right now, City Council is discussing how free and reduced lunches are that mechanism to determine whether you qualify for free and reduced internet price, right? We have 49.5% of students at Del Mar that qualify, and 53.4% of students at Lincoln. This is, according to data off the California Department of Education. And so there is a significant discrepancy in what our community is facing and who is being impacted by this. So these are families that have lower income. They qualify for, as ELI, extremely low income. And the challenge that we're facing is that 40% of families that are making under $200,000 or $20,000 a year, in San Jose don't have access to the internet. And it trends upwards as income goes. So this is really an equity issue, as I've been saying. What is coming on the docket right now, perhaps as we speak, to City of San Jose, they're trying to make sure that we get those 8,000 plus students access to the internet they need in-home or through mobile hotspots. We're also grabbing PCs, Macs, Chromebooks, iPads, whatever we can get donations on in order to get these students that technology needed to access the internet and to access their classes. Bringing Wi-Fi to parks, libraries, schools, it's been a direction that the city has been going since its launch in 2016, but now it's something that we're trying to really speed up. As this happens, we still have to be very careful to notice what community is being left behind and how do we make sure that we're getting them additional assistance. So if you're watching right now and you want to engage with City Council, please go do that. There's a way to send in comments or to jump on and make public comment as well on their Zoom meeting. So it would make a big difference in making sure that the policy that comes through today is strong and supports working families and students that are really working hard to get by. What it's going to do specifically, as long as the agenda item is approved, is one, extend the free service for those that qualify to July 31st. Right? We had some private, public agreements with AT&T and with Comcast to make sure that they're not charging late fees for families and giving new families that qualify and apply the 2 free months of internet service. We want to extend that out. It's something that is really going to help people because, as we know, this is going to be a stressful and challenging time, and even the little bit of money that you might need to go from the free service to the reduced price service is going to go a long way for families right now. The second thing it's going to do is make sure that any family that qualifies for the National School Lunch Program can get access to this free and reduced service without a letter needing to be provided from their school district. It's important because schools are busy. We have 17,000 lunches a day being provided by San Jose Unified. All of our other school districts are working hard to make sure that students have access to digital learning, make sure that they have access to food, make sure they have access to counselors. And it's going to be really important that the city steps in and partners with our private entities, AT&T, Comcast, etc., and our school boards, and sit in a place where we can make sure everyone is being taken care of at this point. And then second to that, so the 3 items: extend service to July 31st, make sure that if you qualify, you don't need qualification verification from the school, and then actually give schools where there are high percentages of National School Lunch Program students the eligibility to enroll across the school, whether or not you apply or not. Hopefully we get these things passed today. Keep an eye out for updates that come from us later on tonight or tomorrow to make sure that those things happen. What I wanted to walk through really quick was just the best way that we could set up getting families that need help right now the help that they need. So if you can go on and use Comcast as an example, internetessentials.com is their free version, right? That's where you sign up and apply if you do not have access to internet right now, or if you need to qualify for the reduced cost. It's a pretty simple link, internetessentials.com will get you this opportunity. If you need to reach out to me and make sure that we have an assistance level for you to walk through this, I am happy to do that after we get done with our live stream here. It's never tough to do, or never easy to deal with Comcast or AT&T. We all sit on the phone for hours, and it's something that me and my volunteers have agreed is important, and so we're going to make sure that that happens for people. What are some of the additional solutions here? We talked about extending the free internet service for folks. It should really, in my opinion, be extended to the end of the year. We know that November, when we're having a shelter in place again, because experts are expecting a round 2 of COVID, that the same economic impact is going to hit families, right? And even if we didn't have a shelter in place expected in the future, or more of the virus coming in the future, the economic impact from today is still going to be hurting our most vulnerable. They're going to be the last to recover, which is unfortunate because that's how the system works right now. Let's make sure that we get through 2020 people access to free internet if they need it, because that reduced cost, while it helps, you don't want people making the decision to pay for food for the week or internet for the week when they're going to need the internet to get the job they might need, to get into school, to apply for class, to sign up for classes. There's a lot that students and families need that we should really be keeping an eye out for. This economic recovery is going to take a while, and the more we can do to make sure that no one's left behind, the better. In terms of long-term, how do we make sure that this digital divide doesn't stay with us forever as we move into the future? For me, it's about raising wages. When we look at who has access to internet, it is families that are lower income. It's communities of color that are traditionally marginalized. And the reason that there isn't Wi-Fi in their neighborhoods is because it's not profitable or extremely profitable for these monopolistic telecommunication companies to go in and bother and invest in the infrastructure there. As we raise wages for families, the profitability of that area goes up, and we'll see some increased investment from telecommunication companies until we can make some strong transitions. There are also ways that we as a city can start to focus on taking away that monopolistic tendency. Whether this is AT&T or Comcast, or even as we're talking about Microsoft Office. One of the things to do a lot of homework is to make sure you have Excel, make sure you have Microsoft Word, and that's not the only program out there. There are free open source softwares that we should be actively using in schools, not only to promote a community of inclusivity and cooperation and privacy, since often these tools are safer for us to use and less vulnerable to security breaches, but we're in a spot where we should be saving money as well. When we have to go out and buy Microsoft Word for all of our students to make sure that they have access, that's taxpayer dollars that are going from our pockets that could be used instead in other ways to get people assistance. So I think those are some of the 3 things that we should really be looking at coming forward in the future. I'm going to check, make sure there are questions. It doesn't look like we have too much today, but I want to appreciate everybody that tuned in. Please share so that we can get this access to everyone in the community as much as possible. You never know who it's going to reach and how it's going to affect them and how it's going to make their lives easier. So thank you for taking the time with me. I hope you have a safe Tuesday and take care. Bye.
you.